Up everybody on a Thursday, man. I got my man Lennox here, High Gravity Hip Hop. Give him a little bit of background on you, Lennox, man, because I did want to do this broadcast because you and I have been talking offline about NFTs and what that actually means in hip hop. Because you see a lot of hip hop artists getting NFTs and using the NFT images as like they're basically emojis for social media and everything else, but everybody doesn't really totally know what it means. So wanted to have this broadcast and continuous broadcast to actually shed some light on those stories and kind of educate and show people how they could possibly get involved and see how that's benefiting hip hop as a whole. But first things first, man, my man Lennox, man, give the people your introduction.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir.
My name's Lennox, you know what I'm saying? Lennox Mercedes, originally from Queens, New York, Left Rack City, where I'm broadcasting live from today. Been in Atlanta since '03 for a good minute, so got a chance to soak up a lot of the culture, and fortunate enough that that was the next landing spot for hip hop to really take hold. So that was a big plus for me. Always keeping an eye on the new, trends and innovation as we tend to do. That's how I ended up in the craft beer game, and just having a love of technology and all that. I found myself becoming interested in cryptocurrencies and NFTs and all that stuff. And I literally hit the library, started doing some research, and really kind of fell in love with the whole game. And there's a lot of facets to it. There's a lot of high stakes at certain moments. There's somebody gonna try to stick you up and scam you, so you got to be real savvy. You got to be a researcher, and you got to be interested in learning continuously. So it fits for a lot of us who are really excited about continuing, something tangible that you can really sink your teeth into. So that's kind of how I got, just introduced myself into the space and just got serious about researching it.
Well, I personally have had, not to interrupt you, man, I personally had a few questions as far as like how this is working in, hip hop space. I mean, we see Snoop Dogg saying that, Death Row is going to be the first hip hop record label in the metaverse. Like, how does that work with the NFTs? Again, like I said, you see people like Fat Joe, Meek Mill's always talking about NFTs and Takeoff from the Migos. So what exactly is the connection with hip hop and NFTs, or with the individual artists and NFTs, if that's not too general of a question?
Nah, it's a great question because, I've done the research. So I could distill it down. The simplest way, you obviously got to have a fundamental understanding of the whole thing,
Right.
The blockchain. What is a blockchain? The blockchain is just a place where data can be recorded almost impervilously. If I said that right. You almost can't destroy it.
Right.
And that's one of the main things is like it's protected because there's multiple people keeping the same records. Right. And if everybody's information don't match up, then they'll kill that line of information and continue with the other ones that everyone has kind of agreed that is the truth. That's like the most basic explanation of what a blockchain is as far as Bitcoin. So what that means is now I can prove ownership. I can prove that I'm the person who purchased this because it's a record, and no one can mess with it. So that means that I can have, actual proof of ownership, which is huge for the artist, because obviously that is a word we all know and love. Shout out to Prince, who was always like, remember when Prince dissed Nas, was like, oh, you don't own your stuff? Nah, I can't even do this with you. You know what I mean? And so it's critical now that artists have the opportunity to basically cut out all the middlemen, and go direct in a real way. So obviously already having a following.
Are they doing that with their music, or is it with images?
They're doing it with everything. Snoop is murdering this. Snoop, you know what I'm saying? You got to remember, Snoop was an early investor into Reddit. Snoop was, doing like Snoopify, in like 2013. So this guy he's always keeping his eye on what's going on. So he has he just did a number of things. He got his own metaverse, world in a metaverse, in another metaverse called Sandbox. So he's hitting everything they could hit. So it's music, images, private shows, access, you know what I'm saying? Like affinity groups, you know what I mean? Rewards like for your fans, like, all right, you own this NFT, y'all get this private concert, or y'all get this backstage pass, or y'all
Okay.
get, I mean,
So
all of
that's
these.
how it works with the artists or either independent artists or major label artists. It's kind of like you get a certain NFT and it gets you access to individual things. Is that how it works?
Basically, these guys are designing their own strategies.
Mm-hmm.
All of these are different tools that are available to the NFT creator, right? So they're like, all right, I don't have to do all of them, you know what I mean? But they picking and choosing what they want to do. So I'm gonna make it so that, like Money B, he's like, all right, if you show up to this venue, it'll be like a geo fencing type thing where it unlocks an NFT, or the NFT you got might unlock a free drink or a backstage pass, but you had to show up there. You know what I mean? Like the geo tracking part of it. So it gets deep. You know what I mean? It starts getting real deep with the technology. Remember how they did the Pokemon hunt and they was out there chasing the Pokemon? You
Right.
can start doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? Where your NFT could either represent a location or a way someone can own it and have access to more things. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
it's definitely a way to basically put a price tag on every item an artist could possibly think of and deliver it to their audience in a way that's not like, you know what I mean, cheesy. It's just a new cool way to deliver all of your products directly to your fans. And I think that's the biggest part that is exciting for, you know what I mean, artists and music folks.
Well, shout out to everybody in the room. I got Lennox here from High Gravity Hip Hop. We're actually talking NFTs because a lot of people have had questions and sent us, messages saying like, "Yo, what's up with NFTs and hip hop, and how does that even matter in hip hop?" So it's kind of doing a little bit of those breakdowns. So, all right, let me ask you this, and I guess you could just get creative with it, kind of, based on what you were saying, because you were naming some independent artists. If I'm an independent artist and I want to make, NFTs work for me, like what advice would you give me?
Man, I can just go by what the artists are out there doing. There's a movement, especially the young women. Latasha Alcindor is someone that is making big waves in the space. There's another young lady named Iman Europe who is doing her thing, and they literally are selling like their music videos.
Okay.
And someone's like purchasing the music video and supporting them that way. So it's a cool instrument where like your Patreons and your different paid media has risen again because of the way media has been fractured and all that stuff. So these membership sites are more popular. So people are comfortable now supporting artists, in a big way or a little way on their own. You know what I mean? And be like, it's cool to know of these underground artists that only you and 30,000 people know of or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So artists are taking advantage of that, and they're really diving into the space, helping to curate how the space even builds out. Because we've already seen some distasteful projects that reference like slavery and people doing, people come and try to do the most. So the cool thing about the whole quote, like Web3 space, is that people are trying to self-regulate, much as we've seen throughout, social media. People are like trying to hold on, that's not the behavior that we're really trying to, endorse or support. So there are a lot of spaces where people are vocal about all the different protected areas, that we have agreed that people should be free to express themselves. So there's a lot of layers to it, and it's a strong personal identity attached to it. You know what I'm saying? Like your honor and your, you know what I mean? These are the type of things that people are trying to showcase in a way, So supporting independent artists, doing your own thing independently, creating your own deals is something that's just excited this whole a whole generation, I believe, of young women, especially. I've seen the men are out there for sure. And these are people in their 20s, 20, 25, 28, 29, 30 years old, who are really embracing this. So the fact that you can leverage the smart contracts and the NFTs and these different marketplaces to really hold ownership. There are new organizations coming out that will help you enforce your intellectual property and your publishing and all that kind of stuff. So it's becoming more and more favorable for the artists, and that seems to be the trend of technology, from recording your music, right? Remember, you needed $1,000 to go in the studio, to record. Now you can record a whole album on your damn phone. So creating has become easier, and distributing has always been the big, kind of area where the middlemen have been involved, because you had to carry a record in a truck to a record store.
Well, how does that work with like streaming platforms? Like, when people will be like, all right, well, I could just go on, YouTube or, Spotify, Apple Music or whatever, and just stream the music. Do you think we're going to get to a point where, I guess, using these NFTs creatively, that artists are going to be able to, I guess, sell their music, monetarily at a good level?
I think it's direct competition to streaming.
Okay.
The NFTs are a direct competition to streaming. What artists are doing now is doing both. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, Iman Europe, 4 million streams, she made pennies compared to what she made in like 6 months of selling like videos and songs. You know what I mean? With millions of streams, So the streaming companies ain't really all that for artists either. It's just a different built, different built cell block or whatever. So the artist going direct to the consumer with as little, middlemen and, what I'm saying, people nicking at their revenue, I think will eventually be the format. And I think that once artists see that they can make more money on their own, they'll abandon the streaming services. So I think it's a direct competition. I think it has implications. The more you put the power into the individual's hands, the more implications it has for these larger organizations.
I feel that totally. Where you want to start? You say you want to start with the warning.
Well, the warning, obviously, to anybody who's listening, who is interested, and, these are some of the basic tenements that I've kind of suggest. Obviously, you got to do your own research. You got to love to research, period. If you're not a researcher type of person, if you're not the brother that's like all about, like learning the stuff for yourself, find somebody who is.
who is and who you trust, I guess,
Right.
But you got to do the research.
You got to know yourself. At this stage in the game, the audience we're talking to, like, fellas, just be smart. So this is not a money play. This is a for the love play. This is something you do for the culture, for the knowledge, for the community. And you brought up the profile pictures in the beginning. And this is the new flex. So having a specific profile picture that's worth 40 racks, that's the new flex. So
it's kind of like art that you have on your wall, digital art, that you can actually flex on social media. And see, I was thinking too, like with the metaverse and being what it is, and I know we just covered what Method Man was doing with the metaverse, or is doing in his second phase with the metaverse on According to Hip Hop. We just covered that, I want to say, a couple of days ago. But it makes me feel like, okay, people who are actually operating in the metaverse, you can actually use some of these NFT objects as pieces. Like, people are getting sneakers, right?
It's wearables, right?
Yeah.
You could buy a jacket in one store and rock it in another metaverse. Like, you can literally like take your joint through different metaverses and they'll receive you.
And so like you could be that dude virtually out here in these metaverse streets, but be in the comfort of your own home.
Look, if
That's
you know,
wild.
you know. You know what I mean? It's like any video game or any, something we might be more familiar with. You know that if you know that gun is only available to an X rank, and you know that if your rank is anything below, you know what I mean, 700, that gun ain't even available to you, or that piece of, you know what I mean, uniform or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
So
That we see.
let's just say in the metaverse, right? We
Mm-hmm.
say we're going to a Nas concert tonight or something, and then you can go get fly. You got to still go buy all of your, I guess, virtual gear or whatever to go to a metaverse concert, and you're able to, talk to a chick or whatever,
Yep.
with whatever you got on. All of those are NFTs, right? Everything that you would purchase, because I know Nike has a NFT store, right? Or so, a store in the metaverse. So what would be the difference there? Is there like metaverse stores? Are those NFTs that they're selling in there, or is it just something separate? If that's
Man,
not
it's
too
such a
confusing.
when they say universe, it's literally a universe. You know what I'm saying? Like every store and every person could deliver this in a different way. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It might be an NFT, the product, right? Like whatever, you know what I mean, the jacket or the sneakers. It might be an NFT, it might just be a digital product. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That your avatar can use. Most likely it'll be an NFT. You know what I mean? Most likely.
Okay.
It's like why not? At that stage. So it starts getting tricky, and then new things start coming out as well. You know what I'm saying? So I think 9 times out of 10 there'll be NFTs because then you'll be able to resell them.
My
You know,
question would be, without these being physical, tangible objects, what is the like? What security does a person have to know that, okay, one day all this wouldn't be worthless?
none,
Okay.
none, zero. If the power goes out, none of it means nothing. You know what I mean? Like if we go back to, you know what I mean? Like if it's a collapse and all that stuff, it'll be gone. You know what I mean? And as far as like a complete calamity is concerned, you know what I'm saying? And like we ain't got computers and electricity no more, obviously is worthless. Um, this is a key question because you got to be real careful because people are getting scammed out of stuff just by clicking on links,
Yeah.
by accepting free gifts. Accepting a free NFT could compromise you, you know. So basically, you get a wallet and this digital wallet where you can, store and use NFTs and use your cryptocurrency. And you got to have a backup wallet. You know what I mean? You got to have like a physical cold wallet. You know what I mean? An online wallet. Like you got to be really, really on point with this stuff. So there's a number of ways you can get fleeced in this. You know, you can just lose the NFT could just lose value, right? The creators turned out they said something racist in 1982, canceled the whole
Right.
NFT, gone. You know what I mean? The value drops. That happened actually.
Hmm.
You know, there was a cartoonist who I forgot the cartoon, but he was a big cartoonist in like the 60s and the 70s, and his son put his stuff out like, you know what I mean? Maybe his grandson put stuff out as like an NFT, and it was getting a little bit of traction. And then it came out that he had done these like kind of Nazi kind of, cartoons. And just like that, it was over,
Wow.
you know? So there's a number of ways, like that's a legitimate thing, right? Like that they didn't try to scam them, you know what I mean? All that stuff.
Well, that's
But there's
cancel
people,
culture, but this seems like very immediate, where it's like, your stock could fall immediately, as opposed to
yeah,
like over time, with everything being
yeah,
so
you can
digital.
definitely. Yeah, and that's why I don't recommend people necessarily become investors. My message to your community, to the hip hop community, is to become the builders.
Okay.
Be the builders in this space. Come in here and get some money. You know what I mean? Set up your own NFT project. You know, you got poetry, you got artwork, your kids got stuff. You know what I mean? Your grandbaby might be doing some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn this stuff, figure it out, do the basics. You know what I mean? Take your time. Don't bum rush into this. You know what I'm saying?
Where would you recommend that someone, in the hip hop sphere, or just, from the hip hop generation, would start with this?
I think the most fun way to start is to listen to the book called Snow Crash.
Okay.
I listened to it as an audiobook. Snow Crash is the first time that the word metaverse was used. And the dude literally paints a picture of a metaverse where people are like goggling in, you know what I mean? And they're going into this world. And it's funny because the protagonist, his name is Hero Protagonist. And he's like a black and either black and Korean or black and Korean, I believe. His dad was in the military. He was in the war in Korea, you know what I mean? And he's black and Korean. And he's like a crazy sword dude, like the old katana swords, you know what I mean? The old school samurai swords.
Yeah.
So he's like nice with those. And he's a programmer. And it's just a whole work, man. It's an incredible story. It's fascinating. It's just a fun, fictional story. But it'll give you a handle on the metaverse, jumping into and out of reality and, you know, this metaverse space and the real world. And it's cool because it also shows you some of the implications that stuff that happens in the metaverse could have in the real world. You know what I mean? So the most casual, like, yo, I'm kind of interested. I ain't really tripping. I definitely don't want to read no goddamn mathematical equations and, you know, theories and quantum physics. Snow Crash, fiction. I would do the audio book. It was very well done on Audible. You know what I mean? The voice actors were really dope. You know what I mean? Sometimes they do questionable stuff. I got a Marcus Garvey book on Audible, and there was the Stone Cold White Boy narrating. Doesn't, you know what I mean?
Conflict of interest, possibly.
Right, I'm like, you guys got to do better right there. But on this joint, the you know, the voice actors were really on point.
Okay.
But Snow Crash is the first place I would start. Now, if you're a little bit more technically inclined, you know what I mean? You got a couple degrees, you help your kids with the homework, you know what I mean? You know what's up? I would dive right into like the Bitcoin white paper. Is nothing but 9 pages. You know what I mean? It's not a whole bunch of equations and stuff in there. But one of the coolest things about the Bitcoin white paper is that references another document called B Money from 1998. Okay, B Money starts kind of touching on this crypto anarchy and the anonymity component and how government may like go by the wayside, like just, you know what I mean? Just unused because we have everything. So, and this from 98, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So what I like about it is that it has a touch of revolutionary foundations, you know what I'm saying? If you will, if I may stretch it a little bit, you know what I mean? But it got some components in there, getting off of the big financial institutions, you know what I mean? So these are people way before the technology was even available to them were, you know what I mean? Peeping
They were setting the foundation. They were setting the blueprint for what was to come, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's another one called Hash Cash, which talks about more like the hashes, which is like an actual mathematical kind of process that happens in order for the blockchain to not be fooled. Right. You know, because when you write in data onto something, you got to make sure that something else doesn't come and just write data. So what they do is they basically create a gate that is an equation. So the password is not like a set password. The password is like an equation, and your machine has to do the work. That's the proof of work part, and show the answer to the mad zeros. Point, you know what I mean? Like you got to show like to the degree of just, it has to be dead on. You can't be off, you know, otherwise the machine will know that this ain't the right, you know what I mean? So it starts getting deep, you know what I mean, on that end. So the Ethereum white paper will be next. That's obviously the big one that brought us ETH and the smart contracts, which is the most important component for doing these NFTs. The smart contracts living on the blockchain, that's just rock solid proof of whatever the transaction is. And that's why people are saying you can put real estate on there. Yeah. Somebody bought a car, like, you know what I mean? Like people just doing any kind of, so it's like anything you could think of, you can do.
Anything you can do in real life, you could do on there.
I literally took, and we'll get more into this a little later, but I literally took my concept for High Gravity Gardens, the brewery, and High Gravity Farms, the CBD cannabis farms, and was like, oh, I can do this whole project over here. You know what I mean? As either an NFT membership or release a token, but it's a fundraising mechanism. You know what I mean? So if you study it, and I know a lot of the brothers got businesses, there's probably at least a component of your business that you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talked about, even with According to Hip Hop, you already got the art, you already got the game, you already got the you know what I'm saying, the trivia. Like, so you really have built it already, you know what I'm saying? So now aiming it over here and distributing it in that manner is just another weapon in your arsenal, So it's something to seriously consider. Don't be a consumer, be a builder, create, you know what I'm saying? Make something, and you know what I mean? And learn this stuff. So don't go in there trying to invest. That's not, you know what I mean? I've done it. I'm holding stuff that lost value. You're guaranteed to lose money in this. You know what I'm saying? So you're not just going, this is why I don't want to talk about crypto and finance, because it's too sketchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too sketchy. You got people who are shilling, who are promoting things. They're not even invested in it, or they invest in it, then pump it to you, and then dump it once the price goes up, and basically going in your pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to everybody in the chat too. We're, people are just coming in, and we're trying to educate. We were talking offline, myself and Lennox here from High Gravity Hip Hop. We wanted to have a segment where we were actually able to educate, the hip hop audience wherever we could, because a lot of this new technology moves so fast, and you just got to stay up to date. Really got to stay, 10 steps ahead of the game to be up to date. I go on TechCrunch like every morning. But so yeah, Lennox is just updating us on that. I was gonna ask you, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but where do you see yourself taking this? As far as like, I know we talked about, you having guests on and actually talking to people in this space that are successful with that. I mean, with NFTs and metaverse, et cetera, et cetera. Can you tell the people a little bit more about that?
So obviously, as I start doing research in this, reading these white papers, I'm in the library every day. Shout out to Atlanta Fulton County library system. Of course, the next logical step is, where are the black people? Where are the people of color doing this stuff? You know what I'm saying? So there's a big group on Facebook that last time I looked was like almost 20,000 deep of literally black crypto, you know what I mean, community. Tons of information in there. And where I see myself is launching like a DAO type organization to get the gardens and the CBD farms rolling. I saw it as a fundraising mechanism. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm gonna do this anyway. The marketing campaign, the concerts, the breweries, the CBD farms is a natural goal. It's buying real estate, you know what I mean, owning the building. And the reason I don't have a brewery now is because I want to own the building. Yeah. I've had different opportunities. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've had different opportunities to be involved in a number of deals. You know what I mean? A number of different deals over the years in different places that'll make you pull your hair out if you got any. Some of the locations that, you know what I'm saying, have been offered to me, in some of the situations. So I said, all right, I think I can turn this into like a membership community. I want to have a squad of people in DAOs and decentralized autonomous organizations. They're looking to work on projects. People, what I learned hanging out in these Discords and watching Twitter and just kind of watching and participating in a lot of these spaces is that a lot of people are looking for leadership. People are looking for leadership and community and projects to work on together. You know what I mean? This is what's going on in these spaces. There's a lot of talented people who got skills, whether it be in programming, developing, you know what I'm saying, writing the smart contracts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're looking for cool projects to work on. That's why these DAOs are kind of becoming more in the forefront, these decentralized autonomous organizations. And that's basically uh, a Facebook group with a bank account. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. LP in the room said, what's this about? Wasn't expecting this. Yeah, we're actually talking about how NFTs and hip hop connect because, it's been a lot of talk about NFTs in hip hop. And we got my man Lennox here from High Gravity Hip Hop to explain some of the nuances of, NFTs and the metaverse and how it correlates with hip hop. One of the bigger stories, like I said a couple minutes ago, we were talking about Method Man being in the metaverse, but Snoop Dogg is killing it in the metaverse and saying that, Death Row is going to be the first record label in the metaverse. So, for a lot of people who might not know all the nuances of how these conversations go, man, we got Lennox here who's super experienced in both hip hop and NFTs in the metaverse to actually break all this stuff down and keep us updated, possibly from a week-to-week basis, right?
Yeah, man, excited to. And just to be clear, I'm just somebody who did the research. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just did the research. I got an MBA in project management. I love nerding out, on this stuff. So I just read the stuff. You know what I mean?
And you're a hip hop head that got bars too.
And I'm a hip hop head, and I will wash you. So don't test me in the comments. I will wash you and your crew. I got them bars for y'all. Nah, but yeah, I'm a retired MC for sure. You know what I'm saying? I still dabble. And obviously, I believe there's probably a lot of MCs in the room. And to be an MC, you got to be smart. You got to be smart, and you got to pay attention, to what culture is doing and where the needle is moving to. So this is a natural thing for guys like us. You know what I'm saying? People who formulate, who introspect and put their thoughts together and put them down and verbalize them to an audience, that takes guts, that takes heart. You know what I mean? And these are a skill set that allows us to be great leaders now in all of our different organizations. You know what I'm saying? I know that Generation X is leading the way across the board in any industry. There's a hip hop head. I don't care what it is. I don't care what industry it is. You know what I mean? There's a person in leadership, and they're able to get up and present, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we everywhere.
You can't, you know what I mean? You can't throw them off because they're ready, and I just want to, I'm saying that as a shout out to the community, you know what I mean? And the people, the audience that's listening to us now, that if you're an MC, these are just God-given gifts, you know what I mean? And we're the people who are supposed to tell the stories. We
got a question in the chat too, if you're cool. We got LP saying, buying property in the metaverse. Any knowledge on it?
So I found this one joint called Upland, and they had like a little sign-up bonus. You know what I mean? I jumped in, and it was cool. It was pretty well done. It was built out pretty well. The graphics was decent, and the cool thing about it was that it was in real cities. They were mapping like real places, So I was like, oh man, what if I built a brewery in the metaverse? You know what I mean? And I went and found this dope bar on the corner, in Chicago, on the metaverse, right? But in Chicago. And that joint was like $2,600. And I was like, what? I was like, no. I was like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? So
what was the square footage on that?
It was like a little bar. It was right. Okay. You know what square footage? Like, well, how big was it? I was So it was like a 2,000, you know what I mean? I don't even know if they said the square footage, but you could see it. The cool part was they'll show you like the real, like, I guess like inside the joint, you know what I mean? Like you could see and all that shit. So I ended up buying a little house out in the burbs for like $5. I bought like $5 worth of coins, you know what I mean? And I just bought it. And I get like a little rent thing. I just checked it last night as I was like, doing my research and trying to stay up to date.
So you got somebody renting it out?
They just give you money for owning it at this point.
Okay,
but somebody could rent it out. You know what I mean? I see the physical pictures, little brick ranch on the corner with a little lawn. So it's funny, man. But yeah, this place is like Decentraland, which is a big space, and people are selling real estate. Like, you gotta pay attention to what young rich white people are doing. You know what I mean? You just have to, because they getting money. You know what I mean? Like, there's people buying and selling. They made this up on a piece of, you know what I mean? Like, somebody just made it up. And they selling it for mad money. So, advice, I mean, you got to go somewhere you enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Go somewhere that's, I would say, go to popular places. You know what I mean? That's vetted. You know, as a regular consumer. You know what I mean? Go somewhere where it looks legit. You know what I mean? Don't go off the beaten path to these kind of random, sites. Don't plug in your wallet everywhere. You know, you can visit a site and you don't have to plug in your wallet. You know what I mean? Read up on it. Go on Twitter. The main places for info is going to be Twitter, and the Discords. You know, see what people are saying about the projects. You know, see the longevity. See if the founders are public or doxed, as they call it. Some of them are anonymous. And like I said before, the whole anonymity thing, it was supposed to be a feature from the old school Bitcoin and, you know what I'm saying, guys who were kind of foreseeing this future. Being anonymous was supposed to be a feature. Like, nobody needs to know who I am for me to buy, you know what I mean, and trade or whatever.
They want to know what's the name of the site again.
So there's Upland. Upland is one of them. They got like a llama. Very great artwork. It's very well done. Okay. You know, I think they had a couple of NFL guys. I want to say they had like an NFL guy doing some stuff with them, or they were doing something with the NFL. I just got an email from them that they launched Queens, which is ironic because I happen to be in Queens right now in New York. So they just launched that. And it's almost like GTA. They literally map in the city, you know, and then selling you the real estate, which is brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, they just taking the map and converting it into a world and then selling it to us.
We got a follow-up question here. It says, how does that compare to investing in NFTs compared to Roth IRAs, real estate property, coins, etc.? I find myself looking into NFTs, like quick flips, not necessarily long-term investments.
Okay, so going back to what we said in the beginning. You know
and this is a person who had Bitcoins when it was 200 in 2011, he says.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. So I don't want to, it's hard to say this. I don't want to talk about investing.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound messed up, but it's too volatile, you know what I mean? And it's too whimsical almost, you know what I mean? It's too delicate. Anything can shift the market in a big way. So that's why I'm saying don't look at this as an investment. Do this as an affinity project where you really like the artist and you want to support that artist, or become a builder in the space. That's how you become an investor to me. Don't put your money in somebody else's pocket. You take that money, if you got bread to invest, build out your own NFT project, or find somebody who has an NFT project where you can be a founder, you know what I mean? And y'all launch that together. That's how you invest in NFTs. I wouldn't look at NFTs as definitely not no quick flips, you know what I mean? Unless because sometimes you get lucky, and that's what happens. You see somebody might, you know, you got to have a network of people who's going to build up the project. So what you see is people running together, just like GTA. People form gangs, right? Eventually people start making gangs, and they're like, yo, all right, we're going to go buy this NFT. We're going to pump it up. There's 100 of us. Everybody go, you know what I mean? Pump it, everybody. So now we drive the price up. It's no different than Wall Street, the pump and dump. You know what I mean? It's the same concept. It doesn't have to have a negative connotation, but you build the army of people pumping something. You build the thing to be pumped. That's what I would say. You know, now if you're just legitimately looking for things to invest in, go find these black creators that are doing the work legitimately in the space and give them your money. You know what I mean? Give them your money. Don't go to these white spaces. I don't want it to sound like that, but
I was gonna say, why you say it like that?
I don't want it to sound like that, but what I mean to say is, go to poor people,
okay,
who have real art to produce. You know what I mean? Who have legitimate projects that are gonna do this for 5, 10 years, 20 years.
Gotcha. So go out and seek the next Basquiat or something.
go find some real stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When Warren Buffett went, he didn't just like, oh, I like the logo. He was like digging in their books, like, okay, well, how long this been going on? Where can we? So he got to know these companies. So if we're gonna talk about, what I mean, if we want to go from like a high level investor, you know what I mean, standpoint, then you want to get to know what you invested in. And if the people aren't public, if they're hiding behind, some anonymity, they're not docs. And because sometimes even when you do know who they are, they might rug pull the whole project anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would find people who are humble, who are really doing the work and showing the body of work. I hope I answered that question. Maybe that wasn't, you know what I mean? But
No. I mean, I get it.
and
Hopefully
if there's
that is
another
answered in
follow
the
up, you
chat.
know what I mean, in the comment, I'm happy to you know what I mean, to touch on that.
Yeah, definitely, and of course, it's going to be more people to see this, and hopefully, in the comment section, people can leave all their questions, and we'll definitely, make sure they get answered or whatnot. I think the one thing is, and that's why we're having this conversation in the first place, a lot of hip hop artists have brought NFTs to the forefront without really explaining what's going on. I mean, even the whole back and forth with Dame Dash and Jay-Z over the reasonable doubt and the possible NFT with that. Like, I think people know that they're going back and forth and it's conflicting, but don't really understand all of the things that come with it. Because, I mean, this is a new space.
Yo, it's a new space. It's complicated. Okay. Just to turn your dollars into a coin ain't, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't just a simple process. You could go on Coinbase and, you know what I mean? That's probably the simplest way to do it. But after that, if you want to navigate into any of the really fun, cool stuff, you got to be a little bit technical, So I think what's happening is that they're coming out, one, excited to take advantage of the NFT space, but there's no bridge to bring the audience.
Yeah.
The audience is still stuck.
And that's where you come in with the 10 crack commandments, right? And so that's why
I come in. You know what I mean?
So tell the people about that.
So the 10 crack commandments, let me start at the beginning. So high gravity hip hop, in order to execute the high gravity gardens vision and the high gravity farms visions, which is the breweries and these farms, I said we're gonna build these with crack money, and the reason I decided on that is because of the crack epidemic and a lot of the issues that we saw, and the way that situation was handled and the way cocaine was entering the country, things that have been proven, time and time again. So I wanted to kind of flip that and take the popularity of crack and turn it into a positive, So I want to build breweries and cannabis farms with crack money. Gotcha. So I was like, all right.
It's a brilliant play on words too, showing your wordsmith background.
Look, so I took the C out of the crack, so it's CRAK, and it's basically an acronym that means consciously raising all keys, because crack wrecked all kings. Crack wrecked all kings, but crack money consciously raises all keys. And that's kind of the acronym for that. And leveraging the popularity of, of crack and crack content, So my motto is I don't even drink like that. I sell crack. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what I'm shifting to. And that's a famous Nori line. Since I am from Left Rack.
Gotta represent. LP says, I think Nas did it best and gave you ownership of that actual song, and talking about what Nas was doing with the NFTs and Rare. He said that that makes you money off of everything that it plays. So yeah, artists are putting other people in position to be investors in their own music. So yeah, I thought that was dope too what Nas did when it came to giving people an opportunity to buy into some of his music with NFTs. Darnell Lee says, my wife asked me about it, and I agree. Find the creator and invest in them. It's a lot of info out there, and some people make it sound so easy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's not a layup. You know what I mean? It's not a layup. It's something that, you know what I mean? you're gonna lose your money if you go out there just trying to like quote unquote invest.
We
You know
still
what I
got
mean?
to be creative, you know what I mean? And like you said, you
You
got to
gotta be
do the
creative
work.
in your investing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the root.
Hmm.
So the first rule nombre uno, as Big would say, is never let no one know how much dough you hold or hodl, because the cheddar breed jealousy, especially if that coin's fucked up, get your ass rugged up. So a rug pull is obviously, you know what I mean, when somebody runs off with the bag.
Wait a minute. Are
So
you gonna record this? I think you should record this, man.
you think I
I
should
think
make it
you
like a
should get
song?
I think you should get the premiere beat and spit these crypto bars
Yeah.
over the 10 crack commandments.
Yo, the mic is hot. The mic is hot and I'm ever ready. So I might just take you up on that. You know what I mean? So, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit on this point, because anyone who has been out there dabbling in the discords and hanging out in the spaces and engaging in the crypto NFT community, there's a lot of chatter, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of shit talking, you know what I mean? There's a lot of little fresh mouth kids out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like, some of it gets spicy, and people get into these things and, these back and forths and all that stuff. So you don't want to let anybody really know any of your holdings, especially in because these are public spaces, you know what I mean? And there's people who will be malicious in there's people in there trying to sabotage, you know what I'm saying, the project as well. You know what I mean? Some of these founders get into these little beefs, you know what I mean? So they might try to, and if you got access to $600,000, $700,000, you may be like, well, you know what? You want to mess with me? I'm going to go mess with your coin and start messing with the value of your coin by doing these trades. You know what I'm saying? So
Elon Musk does things like that all the time with tweets.
Yo,
he doesn't even have to do any of that with trades.
One tweet.
Yeah.
You're like, what I feel like going up today? I think we're going to buy whatever. And then boom, you know what I mean? It blows up. So literally,
I think hip hop artists have that kind of power possibly too.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. Absolutely. So there's people doing stuff, and you just basically want to keep your information to yourself. You want to have multiple wallets, and you definitely want to have a cold wallet, which means an external hard physical wallet. You know what I mean? Besides your stuff. And just like you would have multiple bank accounts for different things and multiple credit cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mix it up. Don't leave everything in one wallet, because if that wallet somehow gets got, you know what I mean? At least your stuff is spread out through some different wallets. If there's stuff that you're just gonna hold and you're not trading it, you're not doing nothing with it, put it on the cold wallet, take it off the internet. You know what I mean? That way it's absolutely, secure. Put that in a safe or whatever, you know what I mean? Keep that safe, obviously. So yeah, that's the number one rule. You know what I mean? Don't be talking about your stuff, because people will try to manipulate the value of a given project or a coin, and if you're giving away too much information or following the wrong people, because everybody who's in these rooms is not supportive of the people and the founders. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of, I've seen it firsthand. You know what I'm saying? Firsthand, where people's teaching people how to do certain little maneuvers, you know what I mean? To kind of game the system and not utilize the platform the way the founder had intended.
You leave yourself exposed.
Basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. That's a fundamental rule number one. I was gonna hit y'all with all 10 today, but I said let me, you know what I mean? We're gonna drip it out, you know what I'm saying?
We need to spread out the 10 crack commandments. I think today, was an introduction. We wanted to introduce the audience to Linux and what you're about, your background, the fact that you're an educator, and really passionate about people growing in this space. And then now that we can, now that we got that out the way, kind of get to commandment 2, 3, make a whole series out of this, and then drop the bars at the end.
Bet. So there's one person I want to make sure we don't forget, and I don't know if we on time or not, or we just rolling, you know what I mean? We good on time?
I mean, it was gonna wrap up pretty soon, but go
So there's
ahead.
one. I just want to make sure we get to one person. The Reggie Middleton slide.
Okay, let me get to
We
Reggie.
could just throw that up real quick. Yeah.
Okay,
So we mentioned Snoop, Money B, and a couple others. We mentioned Latasha, which I think
Latasha's on this
everybody should
slide.
follow now.
Yeah,
Follow Latasha. She's dope. You know what I mean? Pretty young lady, very smart. You know what I'm saying? Got some solid opinions. She's probably the person I retweet the most on the Crack Money Twitter. You know what I mean? She just always, doing some work. Reggie Middleton is somebody who needs to be highlighted because he's technically the inventor of decentralized finance. You know what I mean? And some of y'all may know who he is. He's an active patent holder, CEO of Veritasium, and he's an economist, fintech guy. And he's had the battle for these patents. You know what I mean? I think he's got them in the US and Japan. And he's got a number of them. Some people trying to make it seem like you can't patent that, you know what I mean? And, trying to push back on his patents. But he's been rocking for a minute. And he's a Howard alum, you know what I'm saying? So seems to be genuinely interested in doing the work for many, many years. And someone that I think everybody should know about. You know what I mean? He doesn't do NFTs. He doesn't do, you know what I mean, any of that. But he's someone who's a leader and got some real opinions in the whole space. So I definitely wanted to highlight him as well. So every week.
what's the Twitter that you were talking about? Somebody said, what's the Twitter, Instagram? We talking about his Twitter, or were you talking about Latasha's?
You can throw up her slide.
Yeah, I got her up.
Okay.
Is it at call me
Latasha.
call me Latasha?
Yep.
All right, and
Latasha.
Reggie's is at Reggie Middleton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm at Crack Money, CRAK Money on Twitter, and
Okay.
High Gravity Hip Hop on Instagram. And the plan is, hopefully weekly we can bring you some more stories, some more Black creators in the space. I got a list of them, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then hopefully we can get some of these folks on to discuss their projects, you know what I mean? Tell us what's going on and kind of school us on what's happening. There's a lot of solid people in the space, and it's open. There's no barrier to entry other than your desire to learn. That's really it.
And you know what? I think that's going to be some interesting stuff, and watch everybody grow and, see people's input for people who want to get into that space as well, and, watch them grow also.
Absolutely, man. It's really, it's looking like, a real movement. It's not going away. And, we old enough to know that, we've seen the first wave, we've seen the second wave.
And shit, and and if it all goes down, at least you'll be able to report that too.
Right.
While it's happening. So staying informed.
I think people should take advantage. And again, my message is don't be an investor, be a builder. Go build something in the space. You know what I mean? Go partner with somebody. Find a young person who's a developer who needs somebody with a little bit of pockets, you know what I mean? And partner up. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a position to invest, don't just put your money on a project. Go find some creators, get to know them, meet them, invest for real, be invested.
Okay. All right. What do you want to leave the people with before we get out of here? Did we cover everything?
Be smart. Don't just put your money everywhere. Don't link up your wallet everywhere. And keep learning and keep paying attention to the changes. And I'm excited to get your feedback from everybody after seeing this, and hopefully you guys will welcome me back to discuss some more NFT and blockchain knowledge.
Well, yeah, I look forward to the guests that you're going to have on. And, please leave your comments in the comment section or questions in the comment section. And, Lennox will make sure he answers them and gets to them.
So this is my temporary logo. This is my temporary logo right here. And we all know what that's from. Shout out to Dave Chappelle, Tyrone Biggums, you know what I'm saying, with the red hat. So that's the temporary Crack Money logo.
The Crack Money with I got you. Okay.
Now, let me connect that. You know what I mean? If you go on to Twitter, I got Chappelle up there. All that's temporary. So I guess the last thing I can say on that is that I'm going to be building this out basically in public.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've done a lot of research, and I'm at the stage where I have a lot of the plans in place, and now it's time to build out the actual website. You know what I mean? Build out more of the roadmap, et cetera, and get it actually put onto the site. I already got the domains and all that stuff. I know how I want it to look, et cetera. So I'm excited to get feedback from folks. I'll be publishing the white paper and the roadmap, et cetera, as we progress through this series. And I'm excited to have an informal collaboration and get your feedback. You know, if you think crack money's whack, like, why are you even mentioning crack? Like, why we, you know, whatever. Give me your feedback, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you think, you know, like, why are you even mentioning that? You know, it could be something, it might bother some people, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I never
Open dialogue.
I never sold crack, so it's funny to me. You know what I mean? But, you know, the reality is that there's a lot of heartbreak and pain behind the legacy of the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
But my goal is to flip it, you know what I mean, into something positive,
yeah,
and create something that we can build on.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and everybody who didn't catch the live, like I said, make sure that you put your questions in the comment section. And if you don't have the According to Hip Hop yearbook, you can go to our community section, get that joint right now. We are going to see y'all, next? Well, I know I'm going to see y'all soon. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. A2HH Live with my man Coop, and Jarvis is going to be the guest tomorrow. We don't know what new music is coming out, but who knows? But we'll definitely catch up with Lennox probably on Thursday, man. We'll work it out.
Yeah, let's look at Thursdays, man. Thursdays are looking good, and I'm excited to hear what folks got to say, and engaging with everybody.
All right.